Welcome to Creative Brews. I'm Kristen, and this is your weekly dose of creativity, where photography, design, and life come together. So, grab your favorite drink, and let's talk about what's brewing. Hello, everybody out there. Welcome back to Creative Brews. So, this episode was definitely not planned or anything like that. But I kind of felt like, and I kind of also felt called to make an additional sort of episode. So, this will be an extra episode during November, which I cannot believe we are in the month of November. That's crazy to me as my voice cracks. So it's about 9 o'clock. I don't have too long to do this. And obviously, as you can tell, it is not a formal, visual episode. This is just going to be hopefully a kind of quick episode, but it really stemmed from yesterday, which was Sunday, November 2nd. By the time this episode goes up, it'll probably be like the third week of November, to be honest. So as you all know, I am done so far with the Mindset Myths mini-series. I say it's done, but I mean, there could be more to add in the future, but I don't know, we'll see. If so, it'll probably be like a one-off, but I'll still probably call it Mindset Myths. So yeah, this episode really stemmed from yesterday's walk. So as we all know, the month of November can be pretty drab and dreary, especially with the weather and stuff like that. So, of course, I've been trying to walk when I can, or when, usually I try to do it around our little one's nap time. So that way he takes a nap as I get on a walk. And so yesterday, I kind of just did so sometimes I'll do voice memos and I don't always keep them, but it's kind of like a way for me to get my thoughts out. Or like if I do feel called, like I did in September, then I might upload it, but I probably won't upload every one, to be honest, just because it's really blabby. It's all over the place. As you could clearly tell in the September one, is kind of bumpy because I try to walk on paved trails, but sometimes those trails have wooden bridges and stuff like that, which I thought maybe the sound might be kind of cool, but it was a little too much. And I actually ended up having to cut out quite a bit of it. And then also, of course, I was trying to talk while the noise was happening. Anyways, I didn't really like that part of it. And thinking back now, I don't know if anybody is actually going to listen to that. Anyways, all the other noises, background noises, was pretty cool, like the wind, the leaves, and stuff like that. But I kind of wanted to just quickly sit down and kind of go over what I talked about, because some of it I feel definitely should like me shed some light or whatever it is, right? So, not only to wrap up the Mindset Myths mini series, I really enjoyed doing that. I learned a lot. I hope you learned a lot. But I wanted to kind of touch on a little bit of everything and what's to come and stuff like that. I think I kind of, by the time you hear this episode, which is just going to be a bonus episode, just because of everything else that's coming up. And we are basically wrapping up for the year. I mean, we literally only have a month left. Like, I know we have this month and then December. But for me and this podcast, I'm basically done with season 1. Just about. So, which is crazy. Because I don't know if I will be... I don't know. I feel like I might want to take the whole month of December off. Just because there's a lot going on in December. The holidays... Our little one's, birthday, he's going to be 12 months. It's a big one. And yeah, I mean, if I do an episode, it might just be something like this, like something quick, easy, nothing too crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's just because there's a lot going on. And 2, I also want to really sit down and map out season 2 of this podcast show. If I can get my words together. I've been debating, changing some things like the intro. Definitely need to update that and stuff like that. Just little things like that. Like the artwork, I want to change, like the cover, and all of that. So there's a lot to think about, as well as, okay, well, in January, that's also, you got New Year's, and then my birthday. So I've been thinking about maybe kind of taking off either, some of December and some of January, just to kind of not only enjoy the holidays and relax, and enjoy our little one, because he is constantly changing, so, and growing and learning and exploring. So, as well as, me sit down and, because as you all may or may not know, the, like toward the end of each month, I go ahead and plan out my next month, as far as like, not so much like episodes, but like how my weeks, like a big bird's eye view snapshot of how it loosely might go. Like some things I try to keep, consistent, like when I upload, and when I upload to my Instagram and stuff like that. So yeah, I at least try to have some kind of schedule. But with all that being said, I really wanted to go over the energy for November and intention setting and stuff like that. Like, and I also wanted to talk about a little bit about motherhood, because I know I keep saying that I'm going to do an episode and stuff like that, which I definitely still plan on doing, as well as there's some other ideas that are coming up and some other episodes that are coming up that I want to talk about. So in the beginning of this one, I definitely want to touch on the quiet energy of November, what the energy for November means for me personally, why I love fall time. My little personal tidbit about me is my seasons that I love is spring and fall. Always have, always will. I love the change of the seasons because I think when I really sit down and think about it, I just love change in general. Obviously, change is uncomfortable and it's not comfortable, but if you kind of just look around in the world that we live in and kind of set all the chaos aside for a second and just look at nature and stuff like that, you can really learn a lot. I know that sounds funny. It might sound a little too spiritual for you or whatever the case is, or maybe not, but I've always been very interested in nature and the world that we live in because, just as us as human beings, we go through changes. We go through the ups and downs and, and so does nature, So I know a lot of people resist and absolutely hate the change of seasons. I get it. I like summer too. As I get older, I'm like, okay, summer's okay. It's not too bad. I like swimming. I like going to the beach. I like all the summer things and all of what summer has to offer. But I am definitely not solely a summer person. And I think the reason why I like spring and fall is because they have a lot of different things to offer in a season. So spring, you see things, they're dead, they look terrible, stuff like that. I get it. Wintertime, I'm not a fan either. And what's funny is my birthday is in the wintertime. So, yay me. But everything's dead in the wintertime. It's cold. You don't want to do anything. I mean, it's nice if you're able to stay home whenever it's snowing, right? But Anyways, yeah, it's nice to, have your little one snuggle up. Y'all watch the snow fall. That's cute. And, I like Christmas, but that's about it. And I like hot drinks, soup, whatever. But all the wintry type things, like snuggle up by a fire or whatever. But I like spring and fall because spring, the beginning of spring, everything's dead, right? But then somewhere along the lines, midway or so, things start to come back to life and start to look amazing again. The smells and, the little bugs. I know that all sounds funny, but it's definitely about the small things, and I think that's what we're kind of missing in our society as we go along, mundane, everyday things. People are just going and going and going and going. And you're completely ignoring, and people wonder why they're depressed or they have anxiety and stuff like that. Well, I truly think it's because you have forgotten the small things. Me too. I'm not perfect. Never will be. I'm always growing. I'm always learning. I'm always, at least I'm trying to. And so that's the overall here, is that November has always felt like a quiet transformation. It's not the bright energy of summer, like I was just saying, and it's not yet the stillness of winter. It's the in-between. The space where things slow down, where we start shedding what's no longer aligned, and where we begin turning inward. So I understand, people resist, especially fall time, is what I hear. There's so many people that I've spoke to that I've overheard, stuff like that, where they're just like, well, I hate the fall time because everything's dead. Everything's dying. It's so depressing and stuff like that. And honestly, I get it. Like I said, I get it. But there is beauty still in the dying. There's beauty in what nature around you is doing. And that's why if you just kind of slow down, because we are so used to going and going and going and going. I got to get to the next thing. I got to do this. I got to do that. There's so much going on. And I completely understand. But you have to make it a point within your life to be like, you know what? There's a lot going on, but let me just slow down. Even if it's just 5 minutes, 5-minute bursts throughout the day. Slow down and all of that. Reground yourself. As I say, there was this quote that I heard a while ago, a few years ago, and I thought it was so stupid. But it's a quote, and I can't remember who said it, but it says, be where your feet are. And a lot of people tend to look down at their feet to remember where they're at. For me, I kind of say, you know what? Let's reground ourselves. There's a lot going on, and there always will be, okay, people? Life is beautiful, but life is also crazy, okay? So I get it. Just because I'm sitting here, making it sound easy or whatever, I feel like people tend to, hear what you're saying, and then they're like, yeah, well, easy for you to say, but it's not, people. It's not easy. So the energy, like I keep saying, of November. So I wrote down some things, obviously. For me, this season is about being really intentional, okay? With your energy, your mindset, your work, your relationships, etc. It's a reminder that not every season of life is meant to be loud or visible. Some seasons are meant to be internal, reflective, and transformational. Okay? So if you kind of just set aside the fact that you completely hate fall, and I don't think anybody really likes wintertime other than the snow, but where I live, we rarely get snow. It's more like freezing rain. So that's exciting. But yeah, I mean, I get it, people. I get it. But if you just set aside that and really truly look at nature and the world around you and be like, you know what? Instead of me resisting and getting depressed and anxious about all of this, I feel like if you could just find it in your day, whether it's in the morning, whenever you first get up, even if you have to get up a little earlier than you normally do, or at night or midday, maybe you're on your lunch break, and again, it could be like a couple minutes, but remember to slow down. Stop rushing. You're chasing the next thing just to make yourself more anxious, more depressed, more, you know what I mean? What you don't understand, but I feel like you do understand, is that things are going to get done. You know what I mean? You're going to accomplish your to-do list or whatever. Or you're going to accomplish, what you wanted to accomplish in that day. But if you just take some moments out of your day, it's all about choices. It's all about priority. I know I always hear people say, well, I just don't have time. Like, I don't have time to do that. Actually, you do. It's more so about choices and priority and scheduling, okay? So yeah. Yeah, November feels like the sacred pause between who you were and who you're becoming. So remember that. Truly, like, we are changing as the seasons change. And maybe you get depressed because there's some unresolved things within yourself that you have not dealt with. Maybe you need to look inward and be like, okay, what's going on? Take a self-evaluation, self-reflection, and all of that, and just really, truly be uncomfortable within yourself to bring forward the real reason why you're depressed and stuff like that, anxious. And that's not to knock like the seasonal depression, or if you're just depressed in general. Like, I know there's people out there who are just depressed all the time. But, and I'm not knocking them, I'm not belittling anybody or talking down to anybody. I'm bringing forward all of this just because I feel like it's something that should be talked about. And, I know there's a lot of information out there, so I don't know. Sometimes hearing what somebody has to say with an open mind and heart, because at the end of the day, we all have our different opinions. Like I always say, I know I probably sound like a broken record, but what I'm saying, I'm not saying like you need to listen to this because I know everything. I don't. I'm a human just like you are. So, but sometimes when somebody says something from a place of love, and this is a safe place, and all of that, or maybe something that I say that it finally clicks in your brain and you're like, wow, I never really thought about it like that before. A different point of view. Sometimes it takes someone who knows nothing about you, a different point of view, all of those things. Why we resist the shift. Okay, a lot of people resist the season, the shorter days, the colder weather, the slower pace. I think that resistance comes from how deeply we've been conditioned to only value movement, excuse me. I got a lot, going through my brain. Yeah, and we're taught that if we're not producing or posting or performing, we're failing and we're falling behind. Yeah, what are you doing? You're not performing. Your performance sucks. Stuff like that. Like, we really let that weigh heavy on us. And we, as a society, I believe this is true. Like, we really are all about the go, 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 go all the time. If you're resting, relaxing, you're lazy. So we're really conditioned as a society. And I think we really need to break that. I think that has a lot to do with, the mental illnesses, the depression, the anxiety, all this stuff. What are we told to do? Oh, well, let's put you on this medication. And then that medication leads to another medication, which then causes you to have a chain reaction. And you're probably addicted to something. I'm just going to let that sink in. And if you are sitting there saying, no, that's not true, maybe you need to take your head out of the sand and out of the clouds for a second and actually look at what's going on in the world. That might be an unpopular opinion, but I'm a realist at the end of the day. I see what's going on. When you finally wake up, I'll word it like this. When you finally wake up to the bullshit, not only your own bullshit, but the bullshit of the world and the state that the world is in, yeah, you kind of see past the black and white, okay? I'm laughing just because it's ridiculous. Like, and this is the first time that I'm actually being, like, real. I'm not trying to talk about politics and stuff like that. That's not to say that I won't in the future, because I think it's a very interesting topic. It's uncomfortable. It's, people have a lot of opinions about it, and stuff like that. And I also think people are fearful to talk. So, yeah, this podcast did not come out of, oh, well, let's talk about comfortable things. No. I want to talk about all the uncomfortable, the religion, the organized religion, politics, all these things. And again, you might not agree with what I have to say, and that's okay, because that's why we all have opinions. Your opinion and my opinion might not agree, but that doesn't mean that we should tear each other down. That's all I'm going to say about that. Back to what I was saying, but nature doesn't rush, and neither should we. That is the reason why I say you should take your head out of your to-do list for a second and look around to the nature, the beauty in the dying. Because nature isn't permanently dead. Don't you understand that? Nature is laying dormant because nature goes within itself. It goes inward. It rests. And I really think there's a lot to learn from that as human beings. So seasonal sadness is real, I get it, but sometimes what we call depression is actually our body and spirit begging for rest. So I want to go to the other topic real quick. Again, some upcoming things and stuff like that. Like I keep saying, I know, and motherhood kind of ties in with what I'm talking about today, but I know I keep saying, I'm going to do an episode on motherhood and blah, 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 and I am. So the episode after this one, since this is a bonus, I don't know, I might make this an episode, I might make it a bonus episode. It really depends on timing and stuff like that. But, I do plan on doing a formal motherhood catch-up, and all of that. By that time, I'll probably be 11 months postpartum. It just depends on timing, So, I really want to touch on motherhood, how it's going. Is it everything, that I thought it would be? Blah, blah, blah. Let's talk about postpartum and da-da-da, right? So, right now, I wanted to talk about motherhood as a mirror of transformation. So, with everything that I just said about November, seasonal changes, energy shifts, and all that other stuff, there's motherhood, which has been its own quiet transformation. Like I keep saying, I'm 10 months postpartum, and every month has felt like shedding another layer of who I was and learning how to hold space for who I'm becoming. Motherhood has taught me a lot. And I'm not going to talk too much about this because I do plan on talking a lot about it with my motherhood episode which will be, I think this is going to be kind of like a little mini series in of itself. I don't have a cute little title for it, and I don't plan on doing some kind of cute little title for it. But, because before I get into all that, basically, when I found out I was pregnant, there was a lot, that happened. I mean, obviously excitement and, all of that disbelief and, oh my God, I'm going to be a mom. All the happy things. And my experience with not only being pregnant, becoming a mother and all this stuff has been amazing. And that is something that I feel like when, as a society, and I guess for other women, what I noticed while I was pregnant is that there's a lot of women tearing other women down. You ask, or maybe a lot of the times I didn't ask. Like, all I have to say is when you become pregnant, everybody and their mom is interested. And I get it. It's exciting, not only for me, but it's exciting, because everybody around you is seeing your body change. They're asking how you are doing. And, well, when I was pregnant, that leads into their experience. And I get it. I'm not knocking that. What I am knocking and what I do have to say is that, like, I don't know. It makes you sad because, like I said, you see grown ass women tearing other women down. And, I mean, let's face it, we all, as women, have seen it, even if you're pregnant or not pregnant, right? But, like, I basically had a woman where I used to work come up to me and be like, comment on my weight. And, oh, well, are you sure you just have one baby in there? Are you sure you don't have multiple? Or something like that. And I'm like, who the hell are you? First off, I didn't ask for your experience, little story or whatever. And I really don't give a shit what you think. You know what I mean? Like, who are you? And she's like, oh, well, I didn't look that big or something like that. And I'm like, screw you, lady. Nobody asked you. Nobody cares. Like, keep it moving. That's what I'm talking about. Like, we all day long want to talk about, oh, well, we should uplift women. Other women should uplift women. And yeah, we should. But it's all about, like, the cattiness. And that is the reason why I don't have a lot of girls who are friends. I don't have many friends, period. And there's a reason. But the friends that I do have, I have been friends with for years, a long time. And none of those women are catty or anything. They're strong-ass women who, at the end of the day, do have your back. And they're not stabbing you in the back. Anyways, I'm going to talk more about that in my motherhood episode. So tune in, people. Tune in. I'm bringing the energy today. You know what I mean? This episode might be kind of long. I'm sorry. But there's a lot to talk about. Anyways, it's beautiful and hard and sacred and messy, but it's taught me so much about grace for myself and for other women. Just because a woman makes pregnancy look easy or motherhood look easy, we all know that motherhood isn't easy. Pregnancy isn't easy. Being a parent isn't easy. But just because someone is having a great time, a great experience, or whatever, again, social media, just because you see things on social media and everybody's having a great time, doesn't mean that it's all, roses and rainbows or whatever. Again, social media distorts reality and the timelines and all of that. It goes right back into the little Mindset Myths mini-series that I just did. But yeah, I mean, it really does, like, with that woman and what she said, it just reminded me how much we as a society still don't understand about women's bodies or pregnancy. There's a lot. Not only do we not still know that much about pregnancy, but like even in the hospital, like there was so much that went on that, and I get it, like they go off of experiences and stuff like that, what worked in the past and all this other stuff. But just because it works for someone doesn't mean it's going to work for you. It's just like opinions. Women and the medical field and all this other stuff is, we really need to remember that every journey is different. And comments like that lady said, is not helpful. Like, you're not helping anybody. You're just a sad human being and you need to work on yourself. And it's just completely unnecessary. Like, I don't know. I learned that sometimes people speak from their own insecurities or from a place of trying to relate, but it lands as judgment or is perceived as judgment. And I think motherhood really makes you aware of that, of how many people project on you. And that's just one story. I have other stories. I don't know that I will go into so much the stories, just because I'm not trying to attack people. I'm not trying to, and plus, I don't know if these people even tune into this episode or this podcast. If they do, that's great. And thank you for supporting. But I mean, I highly doubt it. Anyways, I do want to kind of touch on projections and jealousy and what people don't see, because it's a part of my story. And again, like I said, I don't know, I might save this for the motherhood episode. But I mean, I kind of just feel like it kind of fits here. Because of what I was just saying a minute ago, like, yeah, like that kind of projection doesn't only happen with strangers. It can happen either from people that you know, people who think they know you, co-workers, family, friends, whoever. It could happen anywhere. I wanted to kind of apply this into a generic, statement, I guess. I just, not only like for projections, but I feel like when someone's jealousy or comparing themselves, I really feel like it's just kind of wild, because you don't actually see what is taking place. You know what I mean? Like I said, social media distorts a lot. We all share happy things, and unless you're that, a few people who, when they're crying or fake crying, they get out their camera and let's document this so that way I can apply it in a sad way or whatever. Those people are only looking for attention. And maybe they really are sad. Like, maybe that's the only way that they can get to feeling better. But I guess it's just, I think what I'm going to do is just chalk it up to people projecting. Whether that be jealousy, their own insecurities, comparing, whatever that may look like. But when you see someone who continuously shows up, you know, they're trying XYZ to see what works, but they keep showing up. They're a mom. You know, just because you see those things, whether it be on social media or whatever, doesn't mean it's easy. Like, it doesn't mean that that person is living an easy life. You know what I mean? So, you gotta take your head, again, out of the clouds and stuff like that. And I know a lot of people, it's easy to project on other people, especially when that person is coming from an insecure place. Maybe they're sad. Maybe they keep showing up. It just isn't working. I guess, like, some advice for me would be that you still have to keep showing up. Like, don't let it and don't allow it to make you into a bitter person. Which is easier said than done. I totally get it. Like, I so get that. So, yeah, I kind of want to go into projection, jealousy, and stuff like that, like what those mean. Projection is unhealed emotion. People project when they see something in you that triggers something unresolved in them. If you're confident, they might feel exposed about where they're not. If you're at peace, it might highlight their inner chaos. If you're growing, it might remind them of where they've stayed the same. So you just have to remember, if that's happening to you, it's not that they dislike you. They dislike the mirror you're unintentionally holding up. So jealousy is misunderstanding of time. Jealousy is often a belief that there's not enough. It's lack energy, scarcity. When someone gets jealous of you, what they're really saying is, I don't believe I can do that too. I don't believe I can have that too. The reframe here is there's more than enough for all of us. Someone else's success doesn't take away your potential, and it shouldn't. It should expand what's possible. When someone keeps trying and it's not working out and they just say, well, I keep trying and blah, 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 and da, da, da. That's usually where sadness and resentment start to grow. When you feel like you've been doing everything right and the door still won't open, you start to question your worth. That's when projection happens most. The truth is, timing and alignment are real. Whether you believe in that or not, it is a real thing. Sometimes the reason something isn't working yet is because your capacity, clarity, or environment still needs to shift. It's not punishment, it's preparation. And again, you cannot force something to happen when you want it to. So if you're not ready, if you don't have the clarity and all of that, it's not going to happen. So here's a few tips for, if you're projecting or feeling jealous. I definitely didn't want to make this episode just be like, oh, well, she's just talking about, drama or whatever the case is. That's not it at all. However, I do have personal stories. I don't know that I'll go into those for obvious reasons. But here are some tips and some things to think about, seriously. Number 1, notice your triggers instead of acting on them. When someone makes you feel small or envious, pause and ask, what is this showing me about what I want or need to heal? Shift comparison into curiosity. This is the reason why I never understand people who get jealous of other people, because this is what I do, sort of. in a roundabout way. Instead of asking why her, or must be so nice, or, something like that, ask, what can I learn from her path? Inspiration energy moves you forward. Comparison energy keeps you stuck. Pour into your own lane. Water your own seeds. Sometimes what looks like slow growth is actually deep rooting. If you keep showing up and it's not working, maybe it's time to adjust your approach and not your worth. 4, practice gratitude and micro wins. Focus on what is working, even if it is small. Gratitude softens jealousy every single time. And this is a big one, and I truly do believe in this, is detaching from other people's timelines. You can't bloom on someone else's clock. Someone else's story, timeline, how things are laid out, how things are happening, is not how it's going to work out for you. It's going to be a different experience. And that's why life is so beautiful. There's divine timing and everything. Trust that what's aligned for you won't miss you. So, yeah, definitely, don't absorb what's not yours. You don't have to defend your peace. Let their energy pass through you, not into you. Respond with compassion, not explanation. You don't owe anyone a play-by-play of your life or success. A calm, I hear you, or whatever else is enough. You definitely have to hold boundaries without guilt. And boundaries is all about protecting your own energy. It's not putting up a wall. It's not attacking somebody else. And you definitely don't have to blurt out to the world, this is the boundary I'm setting up. And as always, stay humble, but anchored all at the same time. You can be proud of how far you've come without dimming your own light. If your light triggers someone, they probably need to see what's possible. Don't shrink, just shine with grace. So, yeah, there's a lot that I said there. Again, yeah, there's a lot that I have said in this whole episode, and this is almost basically 50 minutes long. But there's just a lot that I really wanted to talk about, maybe reflect on, maybe get you to see, like I said, a different point of view and stuff like that. So quickly, what I'll do is there's some other things that I want to touch on and then what's to come. So coming back to center here. So this month, what I'm choosing to do is choose peace and presence, especially because November, our little one is going to be 11 months old. And then, like I said, December is his birthday month. So there's a lot going on that is so amazing and so sweet. And I just, as a new mom, I'm also going to be 11 months postpartum and then a year postpartum. So as a mom, like I said, motherhood has taught me a lot. And the major overarching main topic it has taught me is to slow down. Stop rushing. Start taking time. Because if you don't, you're going to lose the time. You're going to look back, however many years from now and be like, I should have took the time. You can always find a job. You can always make money. But what you can't always do and what you want and what we're losing every single day is time. That's the real currency here. And once you, again, realize that and you become resourceful, sometimes you have to become, creative with how you are able to provide for your family. And, if you have great family members, they will also help you. Maybe you have great family. Maybe you have great friends, stuff like that. Like, it's not just about family and friends, but it's also about becoming resourceful, creative, and shedding your old self and becoming new. So it all wraps together here, this whole episode. So I'm protecting my energy. I'm honoring my quiet season. Even when the world says go louder, get louder, you're not performing. Because I know that growth is happening behind the scenes. If you're in that in-between, not who you were, but not yet who you'll be, because this is the reason why I wanted to make this episode, is because we all talk about, who I once was, and I am who I am now, but we don't talk about the transformation. We don't talk about the in-between, and this is why I'm making this whole episode. So yeah, like I said, if you're in that in-between, not who you were, but not yet who you'll be, know that that's sacred space right there. Like, you're not stuck. You're just becoming. So I'm going to end this episode because it's getting way too long. But November, like I said, is about quiet magic. The kind that happens when you stop forcing things and just allow yourself to be, to exist. If you have a little one, if you're in motherhood, if you're pregnant, like, literally get off your phone, stop listening to this podcast, take the time now before you lose the time to absorb your time with your little one, your family, your friends, with being pregnant, feeling your baby move around and stuff like that. Like, that's the magic. It's not about scrolling social media. It's not about what can be doing. It's not about what do I need to do tomorrow? What do I need to do next week? Again, you don't have to have it all figured out. Guess what? Newsflash, nobody has it figured out, even if it looks like they do. There's no book that you can sit down and read. There's no recipe, because it's a different journey for everybody. Everybody has a different experience. You just have to keep showing up with heart, with intention. I'll leave you with this thought. Some seasons don't ask you to bloom, they ask you to breathe. So, with all that being said, I know this episode is a lot. There's a lot to take in, a lot to think about, but I really want you to think about all these things that I talked about in today's episode. And that's the challenge. That's my homework for you, or however you want to look at it. I really hope you all have enjoyed hearing all these things and maybe thinking about things differently. If you thought of someone who could really hear these things, maybe they're having a hard time, maybe they're, in some seasonal depression, or maybe they just need to hear some uplifting words, please share this. It definitely helps. Don't forget to rate and subscribe so that way you don't miss an episode. And yeah, I'm excited. There's a lot to come. Like I said, I'm going to be doing my episode on motherhood. And then I have invited my friends who are new parents, just as I am a new mom. And also invited my fiance, Patrick, who is a seasoned dad, to come on. So, yeah, after this episode, I'll put up my motherhood episode, my story, share some cute little memories and how my pregnancy went. And then after that episode, we'll go into talking about motherhood with my friends and my fiance. So, yeah, I think all of these things are important to talk about, and I think it'll be interesting to see some other points of view. So, yes, and that'll basically finish out this season of this podcast. So, and of course, I'm sure in the near future, I'll probably have another video or another episode where I sit down and talk about what's to come and all that other stuff, the direction. And yeah, so again, I hope you all enjoyed this. I will see you all in the next episode, and I hope you all have a great week. Bye.